Hey everybody, my name is Shawn here. I am your local dietitian out of Atlanta. This is my fiance.
Hi, I'm Laura DeLozier, strength coach at Life University.
So today we are going to partner together to make a breakfast recipe together. Not only could this be a breakfast recipe, you can also use this as a snack in between your meals as well. It is packed with lots of nutrients, and we will explain to you kind of along the way how we're going to throw this together. Be on the lookout for Laura. She's going to be throwing out some videos here eventually as well. She'll be talking about programming. She'll be talking you through how to do certain movements or movement patterns, even possibly putting together all that all in one. She's going to be part of obviously my YouTube channel, or our YouTube channel we'll call it, and obviously we'll be having videos on both of ours. Again, the great thing about us being a couple, you have the nutrition for me and you have the strength and conditioning with her. Again, any athlete that's out there, I want you to know that those two things need to go together, okay? With the strength and conditioning, that's going to physically break your body down, right? Because we're trying to improve our strength, power, and speed, but we're not going to be able to maximize on the benefits from the weight room or the things you might do in the field with agility and changing direction and sprinting and speed work if you're also not fueling your body appropriately to allow it to recover. So, what we're going to do first, like we always do, is we're going to go over what are you going to need when you're making this recipe. So, first and foremost, you're going to need a measuring cup, some other smaller measuring cups. We have a 2/3 cup, we have a 1/4 cup, we have our big red bowl here. We use mason jars, and then we've got a spoon.
And a knife.
And a knife, okay? And then our ingredients we're going to use is we have some frozen berries. We have our quick oats, some milk, our chia flaxseed mix, and then we have some Greek yogurt. We got a little bit of vanilla left over, and then we're gonna break into this bad boy, which is some strawberry, or strawberry as you like to say. Strawberry. And then sometimes it can be challenging to remember our supplements. So Laura likes to stick her creatine into her overnight oats. And I'm not going to go a lot into creatine right now. That'll be for another video, specifically when I start getting into supplements. So be on the lookout for that and how creatine can help you as an athlete, or just people that like us that like to lift and want to maximize and get the most out of our training. All right, Laura, what's the first thing we do?
I like to make the mix first and let it sit.
Okay. So what's the first ingredient you want me to give you?
The oats.
All right. Here's your oats.
All right.
Now, how many cups of oats do we need to start out with?
2 cups, and then the 2/3 cup as well. That makes evenly 5 jars worth. About 2 right there.
Good. And that's it, just 2? Oh, 2/3?
2 cups and 2/3 cup.
Now, oats are a great complex carbohydrate source. They have a high amount of fiber in them, which essentially helps to gel and soak up all the liquids that are in the jar. Also, as well, since they're a complex carbohydrate, they break down really slowly. The nice thing with that is going to give you a long-lasting energy. Someone like Laura and most training and conditioning coaches can probably relate to this. When you are training groups back to back to back to back, sometimes it can be very tough to get in a snack. It's tough sometimes where you may only have 30 minutes, 60 minutes to get your lunch, and you have more groups coming up. So this is one of the things she typically does every morning because it allows her to make sure she can have sustained energy, especially mentally when having to coach the athlete she's working with, and then physically to have to endure, multiple hours of standing on your feet and coaching all at one time. So oats are in the bowl. What do we add to those?
All right, we add the chia and flax seeds.
Okay, how many tablespoons of that?
Probably 2 or 3.
All right, it all depends on obviously how much you like there. Again, chia seeds are a really good, healthy fat source, helping to reduce that inflammation, soreness, brain function, hormone production, and obviously with some of our cell health. And again, healthy fats also provide a slow, sustained energy source as well, along with the complex carbs. Now what?
Next, milk.
And then how much milk do we need?
The same as the oats, 2 2/3 cup.
Okay, so it's one of those types of mixtures where it's going to be the same exact amount for the oats than it is with the milk. Sometimes when you're making pancakes or waffles, it may be 2 parts per 1 part of liquid to whatever the mix or the flour is. The recipe she's been making, she's been doing this for many years. 3 years. Doing that for 3 years, I think she's pretty much got it down pat. Again, everyone may make their overnight oats a little bit different, but this is just the way she does it. She likes it, and obviously it works out for her. Next thing we got is yogurt.
Same amount, 2 2/3 cup.
So yogurt's another really great addition to this. We put some healthy fats in there, we put some carbohydrates in there, and then yogurt's gonna be a really good source of protein. So you can kind of see all together this breakfast or this meal is really complete, really nutrient dense. Yogurt is also a very good source of probiotics. So probiotics are actual bacteria. And it's really important that we're keeping our gut and our gut flora healthy by continuously trying to introduce lots of different bacteria into our gut. 70% of our immune system is within our GI tract. So we want to make sure we're feeding it the nutrients that it needs so that those gut bacteria can continue to flourish. There's more and more research coming out that the gut can actually communicate back and forth with the brain in different parts of the body. So the healthier we can keep that, then hopefully those signals and messages that's trying to spread throughout our body can continue to keep us in a position where we can maintain our overall health. And then again, the whole goal as an athlete is to try to reduce injury, illness, getting sick. Because the more that you're able to stay on the court or the field or whatever your sports play or sports is, the more that you can obviously contribute to your team. If you're in high school, right, going to college or college going to the pros, the more you can stay on the court, the more durable you look, which is very attractive for scouts and other people trying to look at you when you're transitioning through those different stages of athletics. All right, so I'm gonna ask one more time, how much yogurt was that overall again?
2 2/3 cup.
So everything's 2 2/3, 2 2/3, and then 2 2/3. So you heard that there. If you just make sure you have that for all 3 of those first ingredients, you're not gonna go
ready
wrong.
to roll.
So how do we mix this up? Do we use a whisk? Do you use a spoon?
I just use a spoon. And I tend to fold it in and then stir it because of the milk and the oats and the yogurt. It's very sloppy if you just go for the stir.
So have you tried to use a whisk before, or is it just, it makes it really tough?
Well, I use the same food. It's probably tough, but I use the same spoon throughout, so it's just easier to keep the same utensil.
Okay. So as we say a lot on our channel, we're gonna give it a good mixy mix.
Mix.
And then will we be sticking the creatine in there after, or do you stick that in the jars?
It's in the middle. I put it in the jars.
Okay.
So you'll see, start filling the jars up after the fruit with the mix, and then put the creatine, then finish the mix.
Now, do you have to shake this up? Because sometimes, depending on the creatine you get, it can be a little bit gritty, or do you just kind of mix it with your spoon in the morning time?
Well, since I put it in the middle of the mix, I usually, by the end of filling the rest of the jars up, I mix the whole jar up before I put it in the fridge.
Gotcha. So you don't really have any issues with it at all. Okay, great. All right, so our mix is going to sit over here a little bit, kind of seep up some of that liquid. So the next thing we're going to do is the fruit. So just let you guys know, Laura is a cherry stealer.
See, I don't use every berry in the berry mix, I just steal the cherries.
We do cherry berry, and she steals all the cherries. So when we make smoothies, all we have is blueberries and strawberries left, because she's obsessed with cherries. But that's besides the point. You can use literally any type of fruit that you want in this mix. Pineapples, blueberries, raspberries, cherries, bananas. Again, it's really up to you. Again, the more types of fruit that you have available, and again, it could be fresh, it could be frozen, whatever you want. I mean, let me ask you this question: why do you typically prefer, honestly, the frozen fruit in your mix or in your jars?
I mean, it dissolves by the time I get to it anyway, so it's not really hard to chew through. But also, I mean, it's still sweet.
So is it just more flavorful, or?
I mean, I guess you could say that.
Okay.
But I mean, it's just as flavorful as just putting normal fruit in. But,
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you do a lot of different things there. If you're someone that likes a little bit sweeter, you can sprinkle a little bit of brown sugar in your mix. You can sprinkle some brown sugar on the top. You can do honey. You can do agave syrup. If you don't want to use any sweeteners or natural sweeteners, you could always try to use some stevia and, you know, break off a couple packets and then throw that in your mix. You can throw that in there too, however you want to mix that in. We've done all sorts of other stuff too, where you could do a peach cobbler one as well, where you do some like brown sugar and some peaches and some cinnamon, and you kind of saute those up on the stove. You can do something very similar with some kind of like warm caramelized apples.
I say we've done that with apples before.
Yeah, so it's really good. Again, like I did in one of my other videos earlier today, it's just a blank canvas, right? You got your mix, right? You choose whatever yogurt you want, you choose whatever fruit you want, you can stick whatever season you want. If you honestly wanted to do something crunchy, you could also stick in probably some type of nuts, almonds, cashews, pistachios, Brazil nuts, whatever, essentially whatever you want, right? You can make it how you want. Now Laura tends to do the same exact, for the most part, I'd probably say like
It's the same recipe.
85-90% of the time, she does the same fruits all the time. But again, it works for her, and
It
that's
keeps me full, and I like the taste of it. And I like, if I need to spice it up, I'll add peanut butter.
Yep. So she did a little peanut butter drizzle in there, and you could either pour all the peanut butter at once. You can pour, drizzle, pour, drizzle, pour, drizzle if you want kind of like a layered effect too. Again, the options are really unlimited if you think about it.
Unless you're the plain Jane, like me.
We've even gotten the strength coach I work with. He does overnight oats. The athletic trainer that I work with, she also does overnight oats. Again, it's just really something simple and easy you can throw together. It doesn't take a lot of time. And again, like we said, with the amount of time we have to spend on our feet, kind of back and forth, trying to help service the athletes, this is really, really easy to kind of throw together and do. And again, like you've seen, it's very nutrient packed. Very nutrient packed.
I think that's what's kept me making it year after year, is that I'm really, whatever I do happen to miss in the day, because I'm just snacking on bars, like it helps get the fruit intake in beginning of the day.
And then also with, you know, in the morning time, you know, depending on where your job is and where you live, right? Like Laura's got to get up, you know, she's got obviously a whole routine that she does. You know, her drive, depending on the traffic in the morning, what time she leaves, it could be 20, 30 minutes. So, you know, convenient sometimes in the morning, especially if you're a coach or you're a performance staff, or whether you're a player, you know, in the morning time, if you have something that's really fast and easy, you can just grab or throw together, or something you can do and cook halfway and then put together in the morning. It will make your life a lot easier, rather than having the approach where you just wake up,
throw it together. I can't do that.
yeah, throw it together. What do I eat? I don't know what I should have. You know, that doesn't always typically end up in being successful, because a lot of times you're just like, I'll just figure it out when I get to school, or I'll just figure it out.
I just make a quick peanut butter toast, and it just never kept me full enough, because the mornings are back to back to back.
Exactly. Or you may end up going to get fast food for breakfast in the morning, which isn't going to always be the highest quality option. So if you at least have 3 or 4 different things you can kind of rotate through, that doesn't take you a lot of effort, that'll typically help you keep you more consistent, and keep on top of your ability to stay and continue to eat breakfast. Breakfast, I'm sure you guys have heard many times, it's probably one of the more important meals of the day. You know, I always say sleep is going to determine if you're going to get up for breakfast, if you're going to have an appetite for breakfast, if you're in a good mood, whether you sleep past the time you're supposed to or not. First and foremost, like your sleep pattern and your sleep schedule is really going to determine a lot of decisions you make, starting in the top end of your day, but also the back end of your day. Because if you skip breakfast, you don't eat breakfast, probably what's going to happen is what's called backward fueling. And backward fueling is where you eat a majority of your food at the tail end of your day. Now, some athletes, some professionals, that may be where the least amount of your activity is. You want to try to focus most of the energy and a lot of your calorie sources around where you're going to need it the most, which is your training, your lift, your competition, your practices, and maybe any other outside activity that you may specifically do. All right, so it looks like we got all the fruit in there. She's chopped up some grapes. She'll flip back and forth sometimes between red grapes or green grapes, or it just depends on what's on sale for that week, which may determine what type of fruits and stuff we get. And we've been doing a lot of raspberries, a lot of blackberries lately because they've been pretty cheap and on sale, like under $2 or $1.50 at all these. Blueberries are starting to come back a little bit. You know, once kind of summer comes around the corner, strawberries will be a big one that'll probably be like under $2 for a container. We also like to go out to do picking, so picking apples, picking other different types of fruit. There's definitely a lot of joy in going and be able to like buy or pick or cut or whatever, or just get your own food from the source. So if
you know it's gonna taste good. You know you're gonna have a lot of it. We cut them up. We could freeze it. We know exactly where it's coming from. When you get a chance to talk to like the farmers and the people around the area and stay local and get to like physically know where it's coming from, it's pretty neat.
Yeah, and trust me, if you've never went and picked something, the taste of it and compared to what you get to the source is night and day different. Yeah. All right, so we're gonna do creatine next, or do you pour it?
A little bit of pour, then creatine, then more pour. I usually try to like cover the bottom part of the jar, just a little bit, maybe a third or maybe a fourth of it, just so it covers.
All right, so I'm not gonna mess her method up, so I'm gonna let her show you kind of how she does this. Now, there's really no perfect way to throw this stuff in the jar. It's kind of tough.
Well, you get a measuring cup that's like can fit the mouth of the whatever you're pouring it into, and it makes it a lot easier and a lot less messy.
So it might be a little bit sloppy, but that's why you'll hold it directly over the bowl. So if it does slop, it goes back in the bowl, and then you're not having to spend an extra 5-10 minutes having to clean a mess up all of your countertop. See, it happens to everybody.
It doesn't.
It's okay. So while she's doing that, I'm just gonna open the creatine. Now, when you're doing your creatine, all you need to do is 5 grams. We have creatine monohydrate here by Thorne Supplements. Thorne is NSF certified for sports, so if you are an athlete, this is a safe supplement for you to take. They test over 270 different banned substances, making sure also the labeling, the ingredients, the amount, making sure that everything is correct, safe, and free of banned substances. So when you're taking these different supplements that you may need, you're not putting yourself in a position where you can pop and be positive for something. You don't want to pop positive. That can mean missing games, missing paychecks, missing the ability to be with your teammates, losing scholarships. And y'all may think you're invisible, but it only takes one time for you to pop positive. You know, some athletes, it may not be a big deal and they can get over it, but other athletes, it may be the end of your
end of the road
college or scholarship, or the end of the road, like she said. All right, so she kind of filled up the bottle like she said, and then now she's just going to put 5 grams in. Again, there's always talk about you could load your creatine monohydrate, 5 to 10 to 15 to 20 grams. The research out there right now, says obviously creatine monohydrate is the number one type of creatine to use. It's one of the most widely researched, and loading sometimes, if you're not used to taking creatine, or loading that much too soon may also have some GI upset too. So it's better just to take 5 grams, take it over a certain period of time. I just honestly take it every single day just because of the amount of different benefits it has. Again, that's a whole separate video, but that's just kind of the general gist of that. So she's got her creatine in there. Now she's gonna finish and fill up the rest of her jars. And these are just gonna obviously take a couple minutes. Again, you can use jars, you can use glass containers, whatever you have in the house, use what you got. Use what works for you. But if you don't have these, typically jars you can get at most stores, Target, Walmart. Nowadays you can probably order pretty much anything off of Amazon. Who knows? We'll probably be having drones coming over us one day and be dropping packages, parachutes on our doorsteps, or we'll come home and say, oh, we'll deliver my stuff at 6 o'clock, and there'll be a robot showing up with it at exactly 6 o'clock. And that sounds pretty wild, but with some of the crazy stuff with like AI and all the different technology advancements that have been happening so quickly in the last 10 to 15 years, you never know what's going to be possible in the future.
Camera spilling everywhere.
That was a conversation like I was having with my mom. it could get to the point where everything's automated because people don't want to do a lot of those jobs anymore. Like people don't want to work at the fast food restaurants, or they don't want to be a customer service person or someone who's bags groceries. We may have robots, or we may have just things that are automated that does it, so it doesn't need a human to do it. Kind of scary to think about, but you know, in some of those senses, it may be where we're shifting to. I know that's a whole random side topic.
Soapbox.
So she's almost kind of at the end there. And then once she is, we got our tops that we'll be throwing on them.
You gotta mix it first.
Oh, see that? I'm getting too ahead of myself.
Too ahead of yourself.
You got a mixy mix. So she'll give it the mixy mix, and then I'll just put the tops on top, and then we'll be all done and ready to go and finish it off. So we're kind of at the 20-minute mark right here. So the one thing you can see, right, is if we weren't having to like slow down or do everything step by step, this is probably a process that could easily take you 15 minutes, right? When you got 24 hours in a day, you know, you're trying to make an excuse and you say you don't want to do it, what's really 15 minutes of your day? It's really not a lot. And now she's got her breakfast for
5 days.
5 days, Monday through Friday. So you invested.
You really switch the TV on and put it on in the background. It's really not that big of a process. And that's why like I don't change it up too much with like different recipes, because like if I change it up with a lot of recipes every week, it'll get daunting to see how long it'll take. So
that's a key example right there. Is it's a process she does. She likes to do it. It works for her, and it gets her to eat breakfast. So, you know, when you're working with an athlete or when you're working with your own, you know, person that you're living with, there's always going to be things that are going to make their life a little bit easier. And if it just works for them, at the end of the day, why am I going to change or switch that up when it's having all those different positive benefits for her at the end of the day? So are all those mixed? Can I top them up?
yeah.
All right.
Get the easy tops. The metal tops are annoying for the mason jars.
Exactly. So we got these plastic leak-proof ball tops.
To match with the ball mason jars.
And these are really heavy duty. They lock really nicely. And this one, we had one that broke. So
casualties happen.
Luckily my chef, I don't know what we were doing, but she had done some kind of catering event for Quaker, and she had all these extra ones, and then
came in handy at the right time.
at the right time when the one broke, she's like, oh hey, do you want one of these? And then now boom, now we have one. So there we go. There's breakfast for her for 5 days for this week. Hope you guys learned something, and hope you guys give this a try. Super quick and easy for your breakfast in the morning. If you want to listen to my podcast, I have lots of different professionals on there, from sports psych, strength conditioning. Laura's on there. We did an episode with her. Other dietitians. Again, trying to bring as many people on there as possible to show how different health professionals or performance professionals help to support the athletes. If you want to learn about more recipes on my IG or our YouTube, or if you also want to learn more about sports nutrition, that's also on my YouTube channel as well. Like I said again, Laura is working on putting some videos together that will be on some of those media platforms too. So that way you learn a little bit about nutrition, and you learn a little bit about
Lifting
and strength and conditioning, right? Or we call it training.
Training. You don't never work out.
Yeah, we're not working out. We're training or we're lifting. So if you ask us to work out, we're probably gonna be like, nah,
no.
I'll come train. So, all right, appreciate y'all. You might see a video of us doing stuff together again. Who knows? If you like it and you want to see a video of us doing a common recipe again, just let us know. See ya.
Thank you.